This appointment for an interview today was processed across 2014 to 2015, and we'd been waiting willingly to meet with this well-known person, especially on the political field in the world stages. He led toward more connectivity among 600 million people, physically, institutionally, and people-to-people connectivity, living in Southeast Asia. He's been very busy, still working closely with the international, governmental, NGO and private agencies. I then entered the room and the first glance at him was that he was signing loads of documents, receiving phone calls, and then he told me, "Let's just talk. I can do many things at once." I'm here with him today, the one and only, the wickedly talented Dr. Surin Pitsuwan. Sawadee krap, Kun Surin. Can you tell me a little bit about your current works?
Well, I have so many things to do after I left ASEAN 2 years ago.
Right.
But one major one is the Future Innovative Thailand, or FIT, F-I-T. It is a unit within the Cr.Umph Foundation. Cr.Umph,
Yes.
as you know, as your audience should know, was the first leader of the Democrat Party
Yes.
and the first Prime Minister
Right.
under the Democrat Party. So there is this foundation to promote democracy, understanding of democracy, the work of democracy, that kind of thing. We think there are a lot of issues that need to be understood about Thailand, about the Thai state,
Yes.
about the Thai politics, about the Thai economy. So
It's been here for quite a while, right?
no, I think it was established only about 2 years ago as our politics heated up,
Yes.
but not formally established until about 2 years ago.
Yes.
In order to ask difficult, fundamental, big questions
Yes.
about this country.
Right.
The role of the bureaucracy, how to reform the educational system, how to deal with the issue of corruption,
Right.
how to manage the gap in our society, the rich and the poor. The more we develop,
Yes.
the wider the gap between the rich and the poor. 20% of our people own 80% of all wealth. 80% of our people divide among themselves
Right.
the 20% of wealth that is left. It's difficult for any society or any country to survive that kind of division or discrepancy.
Right.
So those are fundamental questions. What to do with the foreign workers? You know, Thailand has to come to the full awareness
Right.
that we need foreign workers. But what do we do with them? How
Yes.
do we manage them? How to protect them from being exploited?
Right.
How not to allow, you know, our own officials, our own bureaucrats, our
take
own police to take advantage of
Right.
them, which is, you know, we need them. They are not only here as what you call as people who seek better opportunities economically, but they are here serving a function. Without them, a lot of industry in this country cannot survive. Food processing, agriculture, fishery, construction, but they are still victims of a lot of injustice, exploitation. So those are the fundamental questions that FIT asks, and FIT tries to offer some information, statistics, and if we can, we would recommend some way of managing these problems, or raise the awareness that this problem needs to be resolved. Yes.
And can you tell me a little bit back then when you were the Secretary General of the ASEAN?
Yeah. Well, I was there for 5 years. I was asked to leave, you know, domestic politics behind me and to represent Thailand at the Secretariat
Yes.
as the Secretary General of ASEAN the first 5 years of the implementation of the Charter of ASEAN. So 2008, 2012, I was in Jakarta, serving as the Secretary General of this organization, which the entire world would want to know how we do things, how we cooperate with each other, how we coordinate our policies. It was a lot of work, but also full of interesting issues.
Manager of 600 million people.
Well, at least manager of coordination of policies of 10 governments, 10 countries. Not easy.
Yes. And what about the selection, the appointment of this position?
It's by rotation. So
and the countries will select one person.
Each country would take 5 years.
Right.
And it's alphabetical order. Before me, it was a gentleman from Singapore, S. Before S, it was the Philippines. 5 years, 5 years, and then Thailand, 5 years. Now V, Vietnam.
Wow.
So the next would be coming from Brunei, back to letter B.
Right now it's Vietnam.
Right now it's Vietnam, yes.
Interesting.
He has been there for 2 years now.
The alphabetically order.
Yeah, alphabetical order.
Right. So let's move to the ASEAN body itself. Okay. So what are some of the working organizations, the major one under the ASEAN umbrella?
ASEAN community stands on 3 major pillars.
Right.
One is political and security, to deal with tensions and conflicts and issues of regional security. Because without confidence and without stability or peace among us, it's difficult to invite others to come in and invest with us, in us, and trade with us, and for us to have our economic policy that would bring growth.
Right.
Because if we are confrontational with each other, we are on this confrontation path with each other, it's difficult to manage the economy. So political and security pillar.
Yes.
There is a community, small community under the big community of ASEAN.
Right.
There's a political and security community, and then economic community, ASEAN economic community. ASEAN economic community, you hear about it more than any other community, because it is economic. It has to do with wealth, it has to do with jobs or no jobs, investment from outside, tourism, growth, attracting a lot of attention, both in ASEAN and outside of ASEAN. So we hear more about AEC, but it is only one pillar. It happens to be most attractive, most interesting for the people and for outsiders. If ASEAN grows 6.5% a year and Europe only 1% or even minus, Japan is struggling with 1 or 1.5, the US is struggling 1 or 2, ASEAN is very attractive. 600 million people, growing middle class, expanding and rising purchasing power. We have become the big markets for luxury goods, for example. Markets for tourism for Japan. Japan would want more ASEAN people to come and visit. Japan lifted the visas. China is the same thing, Korea is the same thing, US and Europe is the same thing. They would like more of us who can afford to go and visit them, bring the money to spend in their economy. So economic community is very, very attractive for everyone. And then the third pillar, it's called socio-cultural. So it's socio-cultural community within the big ASEAN community.
For people
socio-cultural is people-to-people
connection,
exchange, understanding, and connectivity, education, health, environment, sport, tourism, arts, languages, cultural diversity, religious
Right.
differences that we have. All these are under the socio-cultural community.
Yes.
So these are the main pillars and the main communities within the ASEAN community.
Yes.
But then there are, ministerial, sectoral bodies, we call it. Defense ministers meeting with each other.
Right.
Foreign ministers meeting among themselves. Economic ministers meeting among themselves. Health minister, education ministers, 10 of them meeting among themselves.
Yes.
And then they may invite others who are interested in us. The +3 countries.
Right.
China, Japan, Korea. So it becomes 10 + 3. And sometimes 10 + 6. India, Australia, New Zealand would come in too. So a lot of architectures of cooperation
Right.
for ASEAN, within ASEAN, and ASEAN and the
partners.
more important neighbors that we have. So a lot of fora, a lot of meetings, a lot of architecture institutions within ASEAN. Very complicated, but that's the way we do things,
Yes.
based on understanding, consensus, agreements, and then we move forward.
ASEAN connectivity is all about people. It's about connecting the people of ASEAN in order to build a prosperous, shared future. By unleashing the shared potential of our people, we can unleash the potential of ASEAN. We have 2 people-focused strategies. First, to deepen social and cultural interaction within ASEAN. And second, to build a greater ASEAN community with greater mobility and flexibility. From strengthening awareness of ASEAN amongst our youth, to building our human resources, to strengthening our education and skills, we are moving forward. Increasing our collective human capital and opportunities is our end goal. The ASEAN University Network is a cornerstone of our commitment to enhancing educational opportunities. It consists of 26 leading ASEAN universities. It gives opportunities for both staff and students to study and learn across the region. The ASEAN Curriculum Sourcebook is also educating primary and secondary school students about ASEAN and what it means for them. The ASEAN Virtual Learning Resource Centre provides information on all of ASEAN's member states, such as people, culture, history, places of interest, education and information for youth. This strengthens awareness and educates our citizens and youth on what ASEAN is and what it means for them. ASEAN Connectivity is expanding educational opportunities for the future political, business, social and academic leaders of tomorrow. People-to-people connectivity is strengthening our collective culture, heritage and identity. ASEAN has a number of programs to strengthen these ties under ASEAN Community Building. The Best of ASEAN Performing Arts, ASEAN Cultural Interaction at the Grassroots, and the ASEAN Youth Camp all enhance and celebrate our people-to-people connections. ASEAN also produces public promotional materials to increase public understanding of the benefits of ASEAN and the diversity of cultures and talent in our dynamic region. One ASEAN identity, embracing the rich diversity of the ASEAN community. Our cooperation in human development, cultural exchange and social welfare seeks to forge a common identity and build a caring and sharing community which boosts livelihoods and the lives of our people, nurturing our human, cultural and natural resources. Connecting people is part of a connected ASEAN. Between 2000 and 2012, tourist arrivals into ASEAN countries more than doubled from just over 39 million to nearly 90 million people. Tourism growth between ASEAN nations was even more rapid. Intra-ASEAN tourism grew 2.5 times, going from around 16 million people in 2000 to almost 40 million people 12 years later. Increasing intra-ASEAN tourism is part of ASEAN connectivity, increasing people-to-people connections. We've made great progress on this front. We are currently working to ease visa requirements for ASEAN nationals across the region, to make it even easier for people to connect, do business, and build relationships. This involves easing visa exemptions that we've already begun to put in place. Our common work in human development will ensure that the people of the ASEAN region travelling to and working in other ASEAN countries will be duly protected, with their social welfare needs accommodated. We are working to implement the ASEAN Declaration on the Protection and Promotion of the Rights of Migrant Workers and strengthening our social services network to make this a reality. We are building a connected region for a connected people, where our collective regional relationships are strengthened and enhanced for the benefit of all.
ASEAN is one of the most vibrant and fastest growing communities in the world. And by the end of 2015, the realization of the ASEAN community will connect our institutions, infrastructures, and all of us like never before. It will bring new opportunities for everyone living and working in ASEAN. We will be hearing a lot more about this in the coming months, as communications are ramped up to explain how the ASEAN community benefits all of us and how ASEAN is important globally. Yes, ASEAN is a community, but more importantly for all of us, ASEAN is a community of opportunities.
ជំរាបសួរ ខ្ញុំនឹងលក់ផលិតផលរបស់ខ្ញុំទៅឲ្យអតិថិជនកាន់តែច្រើននៅក្នុងតំបន់អាស៊ាន
จะมีโอกาสมากขึ้นที่ในเรื่องของการทำงานในประเทศต่างๆในอาเซียนสำหรับดิฉัน
Sa panahon ng kalamidad, alam kong maasahan ang tulong ng mga taga-ASEAN.
We are a community of caring and sharing people, a community that seeks peace and security for its people, a community that will provide livelihood and prosperity for all of us, and a community with a sense of belonging and identity.
နိုင်ငံသားမှာကျောင်းသွားတက်ချင်ပါတယ်အာဆီယံနိုင်ငံတွေမှာဆိုရင်အဆင်ပြေလွယ်ကူမှာပါ
Streamlined regulations will allow me to grow my business across ASEAN.
Saya tidak menyangka banyak hal yang terdapat di ASEAN. Bersama sebagai ASEAN, kita akan jadi lebih kuat.
This community of ours, made up of 10 nations, has the world's third largest workforce. By 2020, there will be 650 million people living in our region, with half of them under the age of 30. Those people will have helped turn ASEAN into the world's fourth largest economy by 2050. What an amazing opportunity for everyone.
ASEAN tiếp coi người con gái với mấy đứa nhỏ.
ข้าพเจ้าต้องการให้หน่วยของพวกเรามีชีวิตที่ดีในอนาคตของข้าพเจ้า
Saya pasti akan lebih banyak pilihan produk untuk dibeli.
Indahku sabar menunggu hari jadi ASEAN yang ke-50 tahun 2017 ini.
ASEAN adalah masa depan saya dan komuniti ASEAN adalah komuniti saya.
ในอนุภาพเปิด
Komuniti saya juga.
At pamayananku din.
และของดิฉันด้วย
มีข้อที่របស់ខ្ញុំដែរ
Của tôi luôn.
Komuniti saya juga.
Communityku pun juga.
Dan komunitas saya juga.
And mine too.
ASEAN အကြောင်းလူတိုင်းသိအောင်ပြောပြချင်ပါတယ်
Disaster risk management. Yeah, that's humanitarian because 10 ASEAN countries are very open to natural disasters, more and more, because of climate change, because of global warming, because earthquakes, tsunami, floods, all these problems, storms, sometimes drought. All these problems are coming toward ASEAN or the ASEAN region more and more and more often. And the impact or the destruction is becoming more heavy. So they have set up a group of ministers called the ASEAN Ministers for Disaster Management.
Yes.
They deal with these, the floods in Thailand, how can the rest of ASEAN help? If there's a storm or typhoon in the Philippines, how can the rest of ASEAN help? Flood in northern Malaysia a few days ago, how could ASEAN help?
Right.
That's the specific institution established for specific purpose.
Right. And a lot of works has been established and been processing. What are some of the funding criteria? Where is the money from for ASEAN?
Yeah, we have our own budget to manage the secretariat in Jakarta. Not much, less than $20 million a year. So less than $2 million a year from one member. 10 of them, so about 20, less than 20. The rest of our activities would come from our dialogue partners. The US, the EU, Japan, China, Korea, India, Australia, Canada, or even Russia.
Yes.
These are the major dialogue partners who would want to come in and work with us on issues that they are interested in. Some of them are interested in diseases. How to control diseases, malaria, AIDS, other pandemic diseases like SARS or avian flu. Others are interested in economic cooperation. Others are interested in human resource development. Others are interested in disaster management or humanitarian assistance to people who have been affected by disasters. So many of our dialogue partners would pick and choose projects, programs, issues that they are interested in, that they think they can make a contribution, and in the final analysis they too benefit from this. Australia certainly would benefit from Thailand, or I mean from ASEAN getting full control of the issues of, for example, malaria, AIDS, other pandemic diseases, because we are next to each other. Indonesia and Australia are neighbors. So China would be interested in the Mekong River Basin human resource development.
Also the
in health,
infrastructure, the train.
So we have dialogue partners helping ASEAN to achieve what ASEAN wants to achieve, because in the end they too will benefit. If ASEAN succeeds, then they will also benefit from that success. If ASEAN grows, if ASEAN has more purchasing power, if ASEAN travel more, if the people of ASEAN travel more, who would benefit? Japan would benefit.
More
Korea would benefit. Yes, Australia would benefit. So dialogue partners would help us work on some of the issues that we have to solve. They benefit at the end, we benefit. So it's a mutual interest.
Yes, and AEC has been spoken of a lot. What about the other pillar, ASCC and the APSC? Do they have the exact date to be launched? Or
Same. The ASEAN community comes into being at the end of 2015.
You're right.
The 3 communities under that big C community will also be part of that package. So it's already in operation.
And the scorecard for the AAC also apply to the other 2 pillars.
They are working on, they have been concentrating on economic pillar. But they are also working on the political and security pillar and socio-cultural pillar. But it's rather difficult to have a measurement for socio-cultural, for example.
Right.
Political insecurity, as long as there is peace, as long as there is security within the region, nobody is fighting with anybody, that's considered already an achievement.
Also because the AEC has a number to be right?
Yes. You can measure growth, you can measure economic downturn, you can measure unemployment, you can measure inflation. So you can have scorecard for economic community. How many countries have ratified the agreements? How many countries have implemented the agreements? There are two different things. You ratify, but you don't implement.
Yes.
So ratify, implementation, and you amend the laws so that these agreements can be put into practice, because it would require new law or amendment of the law or new regulations, new ways of doing things, new rules for various agencies to work in order to integrate our economies, our works, our exchange, our cooperation.
So does Thailand political instability somehow hold back the regional integration? How was the current situation?
Yes, Thailand was the last to ratify the charter, in spite of the fact that it's the Thai idea, it's a Thai initiative, but we were having a lot of problems trying to get our parliament at that time in 2008 to ratify the charter. In the end, Thailand was the last country, almost didn't make it, because it was signed in 2007, so we spent the whole year of 2008 to get 10 countries to ratify. Thailand came in the 14th of November 2008. So we could put the charter into effect on the 15th of December, 1 month after the last member handed in the instrument of ratification. So the rest is also quite problematic for Thailand to make decisions. Yes or no, clear cut, because friends are waiting. Our bureaucratic process, our political process have not been effective because of the problems that we have inside. But it has somehow restrained us and constrained us from active engagement with our neighbors and our fellow ASEAN member states and the rest of the world. Thailand has dropped from being a country of full engagement, taking initiatives, taking the leadership role,
pioneering,
to less active, passive, because we couldn't say yes or no on so many issues.
But right now, is it okay?
It should be better, but I'm not sure. Everything is temporary now. Everything is on hold. We can say yes rather quickly, but whether or not we can deliver, because there are other institutions, there's a bureaucracy, there are government agencies that need to work on many issues. They are not really effective.
We postponed the effective date of the community from the 1st of the January 2015 to the end. What happened about that?
Well, I think it's the economic ministers, the trade ministers, who asked for 10 more months from the 1st of January to the end of December. And they thought they could use this 8 months, 10 months to work hard among themselves and get a lot of the issues, a lot of agreements ratified laws amended within the member states so that we can become really integrated.
Right.
We open for each other. We cooperate with each other. We honor commitments for each other. The economic ministers asked for more time. So they decided that, okay, it's under Malaysia. Malaysia is the chair. Whether it's January or November or December, Malaysia is the chair for the whole year. So Malaysia is now taking care of the coordination.
Big responsibility for
Yeah,
Malaysia.
yeah.
And let's move to talk a little bit on the 8.8% of the world population, the 600 million people. What are some of the immediate changes to them on the 1st of January?
The sun is going to come up the same the next day, 1st of January 2016. There won't be a drastic change, but changes have already taken place.
Right.
AirAsia is ASEAN.
Yes.
CIMB is ASEAN, Maybank is ASEAN, Bangkok Bank is ASEAN, PTT is ASEAN, CP is ASEAN, SCG for Thailand, Siam Cement Group
we can see
is
in
ASEAN
Burma.
because they are moving more and more out to the landscape of ASEAN rather than just Thailand. So the market is expanding, opportunities are expanding, and many of these national corporations or state enterprises are now moving out to the rest of ASEAN, and they are doing quite well. We have to do more.
Yes.
How do we get the SMEs to step away into Laos, into Cambodia, into Myanmar, into Indonesia? That's what we have to work on.
Yes.
And how do we train our own younger generation to be prepared for competition in a wider ASEAN? Universities will have to think about how to produce students and graduates to work in the entire ASEAN landscape rather than to work in Thailand. So English is going to be very critical. The engineers, the doctors, the architects, the accountants,
the 8 career categories.
Yeah, the 8 categories: tourism people, the area of surveyors, those who calculate the worth or the price and the worth of real estate,
the land and the sea,
the buildings. Because when you want to move into another country, you need to know how much property that one is worth, so that you can take over, you can join, you can co-invest or merger and acquisition. Before doing that, you need to know how much that building costs, or the price of that building. How much do I need to put in more in order to come up with a joint venture in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in the Philippines?
Yeah.
So these surveyors are also eligible to move on the landscape of ASEAN freely. But then we need the English language.
Right.
We need the proficiency in the English language, which Thais are not very good at. There are those who are educated abroad, Australia or the UK or America or New Zealand, but again, it's not as the entire economic structure, individuals.
Right.
A lot of us are already moving with multinational companies, consulting firms. A lot of Thai young, business graduates, but it's not enough. It has to be a fluent English business community, Thailand, ready to move out or ready to welcome them in. That's what we need to do. So universities will have to think about how to produce the younger generation, future graduates of their universities in the disciplines that they are responsible, whether it's medicine or engineering or whatever. These people will have to work and compete in the wider market.
Right. What will be happening about them? The easier documentation, relocation, visa, working permits?
Well, it's going to be step by step. Each country is still rather reluctant to open up in spite of the agreements. But in the end, that's what needs to happen. Because economic integration is not going to work unless people flow and capital flows and investment and management.
Will it be able to be taking place, this easier process, on the 1st of January 2016?
I don't think you will see that much change, but there will be pressure from, the business community, from investors from outside, that if you want us to come to invest, you promise us invest in Thailand and you have the other 9 markets.
Yes.
But we are not going to get it unless the bureaucratic system or the paperwork or the permits, are processed quickly and effectively. So there will be pressure, both from inside and outside. Those countries who are more prepared, who are more effective in handling these issues, will attract more investment. So it will be an incentive for another country who is slower, who is reluctant to move, to get on with that competition. You can be very effective and transparent in your management of all these applications. We have to do the same in order to compete for the foreign investment, the tourists, the SMEs into our economy. So there will be competition in the system. There will be expectation, there will be pressure. So ASEAN is, well, there's already a framework of ASEAN. It's a matter of implementing it. Who implements it first will probably benefit first. And that will be a competition among the 10.
Huge investment has poured into ASEAN, making it one of the world's most dynamic economic regions. Today, we're better connected than ever before, and we're still making progress every day. ASEAN connectivity is creating a more prosperous region by bringing down barriers, streamlining rules, bridging connections, and making movement more efficient across the region. This has all contributed to the economic rise of ASEAN. The per capita GDP in our nations has grown from an average of $1,500 in 2004 to $3,745 in 2012. FDI into ASEAN has more than doubled, from around $39,400 million in 2004 to around $110,300 million in 2012. FDI inflow within ASEAN countries has increased more than 5 times, from $3,510 million in 2004 to $20,160 million in 2012. ASEAN connectivity is working across 3 dimensions. We're making progress across all 3. While these are separate dimensions, we have one forward direction for a connected region. From roads to power to ports, our progress is felt across the region, from the billions of dollars invested in new infrastructure, with billions more planned in the coming years, to continue to expand projects like the ASEAN Highway Network Improvement Programme, the Roll-On Roll-Off Network, and short sea shipping, the ASEAN Broadband Corridor, and the ASEAN Power Grid. We are strengthening our institutional connections to help increase trade and improve the business climate across the region. We're making it easier to move people and products across borders. We're opening free trade areas among ASEAN member states and key trading partners. And we're creating the ASEAN single window to align and streamline regulations. We're also opening up the skies through a single ASEAN aviation market. We're bringing down barriers and bringing ASEAN closer together. A more efficient ASEAN, a more prosperous ASEAN. We're building new bridges to connect our people culturally and socially. The ASEAN University Network connects universities, students, and scholars. Our common work in human development, cultural exchanges, and social welfare promotes strong cultural ties while helping each ASEAN member state celebrate and preserve their unique heritage. We're making progress on visa exemptions, eliminating the need for ASEAN nationals to get visas for travel within the region, cutting waiting time to minutes. This is just an overview of what progress on ASEAN connectivity means. These projects are just the beginning of how ASEAN is changing the region and changing lives for the benefit of all.
So be prepared to take advantage of all opportunities that are opening up, but also be prepared to compete. If we are not good enough, if we are not effective enough, if we are not competitive enough, it's difficult to compete with the rest of the region.
We mentioned about the concern over the language. Let's talk about the region's working language itself before that. But first, let's see some of the footage from Surin from the TESOL 2014.
Okay. I came from East Asia. Yes, I was the Secretary General of that regional organization called ASEAN. And it is the region that is growing very fast, and the region that is expected to be a new growth center, a locomotive that would pull the rest of the global community out of the depression, out of the very difficult situation, since these stirring words were enshrined in the Bangkok Declaration of 1967, not in any of the several hundred languages of Indonesia, not in the 5 official languages of Singapore, not in the 3 ethnic languages of Malaysia, not in the regional languages of Thailand, but those stirring words were written, recorded, and enshrined in the English language. We negotiate in English, we sing our karaoke in English, more than in Japanese or Korean, the language of Shakespeare. It's the tool that we use to integrate among ourselves in order to work together and cooperate together, so that we could compete with the rest of the world, so that we could share with the rest of the world. And
as quoted saying that the language of Shakespeare, the tool of transformation in East Asia in the latest TESOL 2014 conference in the US. So in your opinion, are there English literacy as a concern here for ASEAN or Thailand?
Yes, because we are not very good at it. In the teaching, in the using, and even in the ability to shift from a mindset that would regard foreign languages as something unnecessary, something alien, to something that is very critical and necessary to prepare ourselves for the competition and for the work in the wider market of the region and of the world. We are rightly proud of the fact that we have never been colonized. So we didn't need the foreign language. Nobody taught us to speak a foreign language, unlike other former colonies within ASEAN. But then now you can't use that excuse anymore, because everybody is using the language of Shakespeare to bargain, to negotiate, to protect their interests. And if you are not good at it, it's going to be very difficult to promote your own interests, to protect your interests, and to expand your interests. It's all a matter of negotiation and exchange. So the Charter of ASEAN says it is our working language, English, meaning we don't translate documents. We don't have interpreters for anybody who come for a meeting at ASEAN. If you want an interpreter, you bring your own. And if you want to translate a document, you do it yourself. The Secretariat won't do it. But the fact is, the English language has become the language of commerce, of diplomacy, of investments, of arts and culture, of entertainment, of science, of technology. You can't avoid it. But the English proficiency of the Thai students and the Thai people is still very, very low. And that has to change. And I think we have to change that mindset and attitude.
Right.
That if you speak another language, you are less patriotic. You love your country less because you speak another language. That cannot be, the line of thinking into the future.
Yes.
I think what we want is to be able to speak your own language clearly, effectively, and to be able to speak foreign languages. It doesn't have to be English. It can be Myanmese.
Yes,
it can be Vietnamese. It can be Chinese. It can be Malay. Half of ASEAN, 600 million people, will be speaking Malay.
Indonesian.
So yes, Indonesia, Malaysia, Brunei. So if we want to compete in that market, we better learn the language, because they are learning ours. The Myanmese, the Vietnamese, the Cambodians, and the Chinese, Malaysians are learning Thai. Who are we not willing to learn the languages of others if we want to compete with them within their markets, within their economy, or within the region? So, I mean, this is something that the Thais will have to make the shift. That from now on, we will be bilingual, trilingual, we'll speak multiple languages, because that's the trend of the world.
Like the European Union?
Yes, like in Europe, they speak 4 languages is just normal. People speak English, German, Dutch, Italian.
Right.
People speak French, Italian, and German and English. Very, very common. Still, I mean, citizens of ASEAN will have to do the same thing. Citizens of Thailand will have to do the same thing. At least 3. Our own language, language of Shakespeare, English, and language of the neighbors. I speak several languages. I speak my own local Thai dialect.
Right.
I speak a little bit of Malay. I speak Central Thai. I speak English. I speak some Arabic.
Wow.
You have to be able to handle these issues on the global stage, on the regional stage, and make it easy for others to understand you, to be friend with you, to work with you.
Even Japan, they are considered to be nationalistic.
Yeah.
They also have the news channel, 24 news channel as the NHK.
Yes.
And close to us, Singapore, Channel News Asia.
News Asia.
What about the situation of 24-hour
I think Thailand is as the geographical center of ASEAN. And very much in the heart of many things happening.
Right.
On the mainland Southeast Asia, or in Southeast Asia in general. I think we should have our own mouthpiece in English.
Right.
Publications, I think the Nation Review and the Bangkok Post are very good. But it is the TV, it is electronic media, or even radio programs for tourists to come to Thailand and feel at home. Feel that they can have information quickly and fast, correct, and feel that they are informed from our own TV stations in English or in Chinese. I think it would be good. I think it would make Bangkok more cosmopolitan, more international, and more friendly to foreigners whom we need to work with. Over 60% of our 10+ trillion US dollars, 10+ trillion baht GDP. Thailand has GDP about 10+ trillion baht. We need to depend on export, investment, tourism, trade from outside with the outside world. So over 60% of our growth, domestic product, GDP, depends on the global market. We need to interact with, we need to communicate with, we need to cooperate with the world.
Right.
We have to make our country, our society more friendly to the world. But we are not losing ourselves. We keep our own identity.
Yes.
We are still smiling as Thais, but we can also be very, very open and effective in communicating our interests.
And it's less than 300 days until the end of the year. What are some of the concerns left to be handled? The major one.
I think the issue of connectivity, infrastructure connectivity, I think that will not be done in 300 days, but it is a major issue among us too. You talk about economic integration, but there's no way to transport goods, you know, from the factory to the harbor to the ship to be transported out, and raw materials from one country to the next, finished products from one country to the market nearby, or in southern China, from China down here. Connectivity is critical for the integration of ASEAN, for the ASEAN community to be successful. That will have to be our long-term objective, long-term work. And the other one is, again, competitiveness of the country like Thailand. Our people must be more prepared, must be better equipped with the foreign language, with the mindset that would encourage them to step outside of the Thai economy and invest in neighboring countries' economies. It's not very Thai to move outside of our comfort zone and to work in a foreign environment. We did not have to, we are not used to, and we think we don't need to. Well, the world has changed, the region has changed, Thai economy has changed. It is time to change that mindset and that attitude. We need a new generation of businessmen who are willing to go out and take the risk and take the advantage of the opportunities that are open up for them. That will not be done in the 300 and few days left, but it's got to be long term too. But it's not too late. ASEAN is not going to be like tsunami, opening up and everything, you know, has to be affected right away. No, it's going to be incremental. It's going to be step by step, as long as we make the determination to prepare ourselves and to be ready and to be willing. Then we are okay.
And lastly, I want the ASEAN bottom line from the former Secretary General, for like short and briefly for the audiences.
ASEAN is both cooperation and competition. So be prepared to take advantage of all opportunities that are opening up, but also be prepared to compete. If we are not good enough, if we are not effective enough, if we are not competitive enough, it's difficult to compete with the rest of the region. So be prepared to take advantage of the opportunities, but also be prepared to compete the best way we can.
Thank you very much, Kun Surin, for having us. ขอบคุณครับ
It's my pleasure, Cr.Umph. Thank you.